to look at the duplicate and repeat function and throw in a few other tips as well. I'm going to start by bringing out a simple box. Let's say we make that 5 millimeters tall and 100 millimeters long. Okay, now I'm going to bring out a cylinder and hit the F key on the keyboard to focus in. You can see it's got the rough sides, so I'm going to slide the sides slider all the way so that it's nice and smooth. And I'll make that 10 by 10, say. Okay, look at it from the top. I will center that and line it this way. Turn the cylinder, make sure I click off first, just so I'm only selecting the cylinder. Turn that into a hole. I will put the grid on 5 millimeter increments so that I can move it over 5. Click the arrow to hide the cylinder properties. And now notice when I hover over the duplicate icon, it says duplicate and repeat. So if I click once to duplicate, what it does is make a copy of the shape and places it exactly on top of the original. But only the duplicate copy is selected at this point. So if I hit the arrow key to move it over, so there's a 5 millimeter gap between the two. If I keep the duplicate selected, and then I click on the duplicate and repeat icon, it repeats that movement, that function. Okay, so let's say instead of 100, I make that 'and look at it from the top, an orthographic view so I can see. Okay. So if I select everything and group, you can see I've created a shape with evenly spaced holes throughout. So again, that duplicate icon duplicates the shape, but if you perform any functions or make any movements, move the shape around at all, it will not only duplicate the shape again, but repeat any alterations that you made to that shape. So as opposed to a mere copy, if I click copy and paste, it's kind of more of what you expect will happen. It copies the shape and pastes an exact copy of it next to the shape that you selected. So I'll get rid of those. Move this up out of the way. So let's take another look at this function. I'm going to drag out this half sphere, make it, actually let's make it 3 millimeters tall and 5 millimeters wide. Okay. And I'll go top view, orthographic, so I have a more clear understanding of what that looks like. Focus in. Now I'm going to hit duplicate again, and this time I'm going to rotate the shape a bit. And then I'm going to turn off the grid so that I can move this smoothly to where I want, around there. And now, if I click duplicate and repeat over and over again, what happens is it duplicates the shape and repeats the change in orientation. So I can very quickly create a symmetrical shape like this. Sort of looks like a daisy. So let's group those shapes and turn it yellow. And we can bring out another hemisphere. Holding down the Shift key and grabbing one of the corners, I can resize this shape proportionally. And then, excuse me. Whoa, not sure what happened there. Okay, drag this over to here. Looks about centered. And I can make that black. And then click and drag to select everything and group it. It's still grouping, I know, because the color didn't change. The default behavior of group is to merge all of the shapes that you're trying to group and then turn everything a single color to indicate that it's all one new shape now. If you want to keep the different colors, even though the shape is a single shape, you can click on color and then choose multicolor. So this is still one shape, but it's just displaying as two colors. Now if I print this, obviously it's going to print in whatever color filament I choose. So we've seen that the duplicate and repeat will repeat in a straight line or even in a curved motion. But so far we've just repeated the same shape, the same size shape. So let's try a variation. Drag out this roof here, as they call it, and rotate it 90 degrees. Tap the D key on the keyboard to drop it to the work plane. In fact, this actually dropped it up, brought it up. Click on top view so I can see what I'm doing and zoom in. So with this shape selected, I'm going to again click duplicate and repeat. And I again am going to rotate, and I'm going to move this over here, and I'll resize it. Notice I'm not deselecting the shape at all at any time. I'm just moving it. Okay, so now if I hit the duplicate and repeat key, what happens is it duplicates the shape and reorients it, as we've seen, but it also reduces the size each time by the same proportion as I did with the first motion. So if I group these shapes now, I now have a new sort of complex shape. Okay, we have the new shape. I'm going to take a look at this dimension and just tweak it a little bit so that it's a nice even number. I'm going to select the shape, duplicate, choose mirror, and now I'm going to mirror the shape and move it down 5, 10, 15, 20. I can select both of those and merge. And so I have a nice new weird shape that I can use. I'll take a look at one more example. I'll drag this wedge out. It's kind of dark, so I'm going to change the color to orange so we can see it better. I'll rotate it 90 degrees. And actually, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees that way as well. Okay. Let's see. I'll make it 5 millimeters tall and change these dimensions, 10 by 10, say. Okay. So now if I duplicate, and I have grid set to 5, so if I hit the arrow key, 1, 2, it goes over 10 millimeters, and now I can click duplicate and repeat to repeat that action. Now I can select all of those, copy, duplicate, move this down 10 and over 5, duplicate, and we'll repeat that, but I can move it back, duplicate, like that. Now I can select all of these and group them, so I now have a single complex shape that I've created very quickly, and this could go on forever. One possible use of something like this, let's see, that's 40, so if I make this 40 and let's say 50, I see that it's 20 millimeters tall, so I click the black arrow, drag it up 20 millimeters, move it over, select, make sure it's nice and centered, group. Okay, so I have that weird shape, but I can shave off those extra pieces on the end. Duplicate that. Move that over. Now if I click and select everything, okay. So I've got, a sort of square shape with a textured surface on the top. Now, using, a similar technique with any of these other shapes, you could create all sorts of textures, right? And all different sizes and shapes of textures that could be repeated. If you created your texture by revolving it around a sphere, say, you could have a rounded or curved texture that you could apply to all sorts of complex shapes. So those are some of the things that you can do with duplicate and repeat.